Okay, Katrina, the first lesson is number 1.1 on page 4, right? And it says it's called using multiples. So I'm just going to explain to you what multiples are. Okay, multiples are what a number multiplies to. So for instance, I'll give you a bunch of examples here. We'll have 2 and the number 3. Number 2 and number 3. So the way I've set it up is so that we have these two above each other, and I gotta look for all the multiples of 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the first multiple of 2 would be the number 2 times 1, and 2 times 1 is 2. So there's our first multiple. Then I go up to the next number. First we did times 1, now we do times 2. So the second multiple of 2, I take our normal number 2, and I multiply it by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So then I continue on that route. The next one we'd multiply by is 3, and then 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll go up to 9. Okay? And that can go on forever. So I'm just going to list them to 9 for now. So next I would do 2 times 3, which is 6. Then I would do 2 times 4, which is 8. Then I would do 2 times 5, which is 10. And I'm going to keep going. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 8 is 16. And 2 times 9 is 18. So those are the multiples of 2 up to multiplied by 9. Now I'll do the same thing with the number 3. Number 3 times 1. So our first multiple is 3. The next one I would do is 3 times 2. Well, that would be 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. And 3 times 9 is 27. So those are multiples of 3 counting up to 9. Now one thing you can notice is when you do multiples, it's the same as skip counting by the number we're multiplying by. So remember I multiplied by 2 all the way through, and I multiplied by 3 all the way through. Well, if you notice, it's the same as skip counting. I went 2, 4, so we skipped by 2 again. 6, skip by 2 again. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So all these multiples are like skip counting by 2. Same idea with 3. We're going to skip count by 3. So we went 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. This is all skip counting by 3. So those are all the multiples of those numbers. Now, one of the things your teacher might ask you is for common multiples. Common multiples, or they might call it CM. Now, common multiples is where we look at all the numbers we multiplied to. So look, we had all the numbers 2 multiplied into, and all the numbers 3 multiplied into, and we look for common ones. So first of all, I look, there's the number 2 in the multiples of 2, but there's no 2 in the multiples of 3, so that doesn't work. There's a 4 in the multiples of 2, but there's no 4, it would probably fall in there, in the multiples of 3, the 2 would have been there. So those don't work. I look at 6. Oh, well, there's a 6 in the multiples of 2, and there's a 6 in the multiples of 3. So this is a common multiple. So one of the common multiples, okay, is 6. And I'm going to skip ahead a little. There's none for 8, if you notice. There's none for 10, if you notice. But 12 and 12, it shows up in both of those. So that's another common multiple. 12 is another common multiple. There's none for 14. It would, what's going on? It would fall right there. Hold on, sorry Katrine, something went wrong with my computer. Sorry about that, Katrine. Okay, where were we? So, 14, there's no 14 in both. 16, there's no 16 in both, but there is 18 in both of them. So that's another common multiple. 18 and 18. So as you see, I'm listing them, and these can go on forever depending on how many multiples we put in. But another thing your teacher is probably going to ask you about is a lowest common multiple. Okay? Or they call it LCM. That's a terrible M. LCM. Lowest common multiple. Well, what the lowest common multiple is the lowest of all the common multiples. So if we look, we had 18, but 18 is higher than 12. 12, but 12 is higher than 6, and 6 is the lowest one. So of all the common multiples, 6 was the lowest one. So if you notice, number 6, so you only have one lowest common multiple, and that number is 6.